If you've ever wondered who else has been a little bit low today, who else is doing their best to hold it together, how do I cope, and how can I make things better? These are the sort of questions that have led to us recording this podcast.
Join us, Stephen and Alan, your everyday average people, as we discuss with guests our unfiltered experiences of mental health, the highs and the lows, the signs and the symptoms, the strategies and the triggers, the impact and the lessons.
Whether you've experienced it yourself, know somebody who has, or just want to listen to the everyday mental health experiences of others, then this podcast is a safe space for you. So listen in and enjoy. So welcome back. This is exciting. We've got our first guest, who is Darcy Kelly.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And welcome back, Haig.
Thank you very much. Welcome to you
It's
as well.
good to be back in the studio and recording another episode.
Been a little while, hasn't it?
It is, yeah. And just to touch on, this episode is sponsored by Sangria Restaurant, which is a really big help because it takes a lot of time to set this up. It costs a lot of money, so all help is well received. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So welcome, Darcy. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself to those who don't know who you are?
I am 22. I don't know why everyone always says
Just
that.
start with age, yeah.
Just start with age.
Standard.
I'm 22, from Jersey. I am a radio presenter. Previously worked for Channel 103, now work for BBC Radio Jersey. And I have suffered majorly with my mental health, I'd say, or to put it lightly. So coming on here is definitely, it was a big yes, because I feel like in my job, sometimes it's hard to be honest and share what, your feelings and stuff. Sometimes you have to put on like a quite big act. Whereas when you said, do you want to come on here? I was like, yeah, of course I will.
Because it's unique because we all hear you on our radio and you come across really bubbly and happy. But again, it's one of those classics where no one actually knows.
Yeah,
you just never know, and it affects all sorts of people.
I do think I am bubbly and I am happy a lot of the time, but I have, like everyone, I have really low self-esteem and I'm anxious all the time. So I'm just like, it's hard. That never comes across on the radio. But it's like being in that industry, it's very difficult to, people assume you're just always that happy, confident person when half the time I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, we've touched on this and pretty much every single episode that where this all started from was when we recorded the mental health campaign for government.
Yeah.
Which was really, for me, who's also struggled, when I sat with you and others in that room, and I think it was like an hour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a long time.
A long time. Felt really long because I was just trying to and that was, I was so scared that day. I was so nervous because I was just like, I'd never done anything like this before. I said, what if people are going to judge me? And it's the same as this as well. I'm like, what if people are going to think, but that's just, you got head playing games, isn't it?
And that's the purpose of this.
Yeah.
I guess, to stop
I had
that.
the same, didn't I? I think between recording mine and it coming out, I pestered you a few times a day, worrying about what people would say and what judgment there would be and how that would go. How did that, I've never asked you this, Stephen, how did that recording work? Were you asked questions whilst you were recording, or was it off you go?
Yeah.
It was a bit of both.
Yeah, I think you said, do you want me to ask questions or do you just want to talk freely? And I was like, no, you need to prompt me.
But we did. We were explaining how this is our first time we've had a guest. So it's new to us to talk with someone and ask questions. And we said we're not interviewers. And I was trying to explain when we did, it sort of just worked itself out when we were doing it. So yeah, you wanted prompts, but there was times where we heard a lot from you and we didn't have to prompt you.
I think as well, I now in my new job, I'm interviewing a lot of people. There's pressure with interviews, and it's just like, if you break down an interview, it's just, you're just having a chat with someone. And if you break that stigma of, I'm going to ask you questions, you have to stick to the question. Sometimes you get the best bits from the moments that aren't even you asking questions.
Yeah, we sort of said that, haven't we? My partner asked me today if we'd sort of prepared a load of questions for you. And we said the whole way through that we didn't want to script it that much. Yeah. There's things that we'll come across in every episode, I think, but I don't want to prepare specific questions to fire at you randomly as we sort of go through. Terrifying. Yeah, just sort of open it up. But also very conscious that we're hosting a host.
Yeah.
So that for me was like, what?
The first person is someone who does it professionally.
No. So no. I'm I only recently started interviewing people, and I find it terrifying because
Really?
I'm just like, I don't know how this person's going to react. I don't know if they've got banter. I don't know if they want to just keep it quick and short. So I find that really scary, like talking to new people. But in this job, it's definitely boosted my new job. Definitely within the 4 weeks, it's definitely boosted my confidence with chatting to people.
Are they live or?
A mix.
Okay.
Yeah, mix.
Yeah, it's just the live stuff I can't get my head around. Like, we've got the luxury of editing this, and so if we mess up, then we can just chop it out, which is great. But you're on the radio and it's going out live. Surely that comes with some anxious thoughts.
Yeah, I've had numerous days, especially when I worked at Channel 103, when I felt horrific, like really bad mental health days. And I used to go on the radio and I used to have to just be happy and be confident and be bubbly for 4 hours straight, when literally in my head I was having a breakdown. It's crazy what you can do when you're put on the spot.
It is. How did you feel after you'd finished recording? On those mental health days?
Really bad.
Yeah.
So like really like, and I used to have like, you could also be on air and something happened to you, like in your personal life. So you could get a text from a family member saying this has happened, or, you know, you're in an argument with someone, or it's so hard to do your job when you're going through stress, but then you have to go for 4 hours of show just being happy, bubbly, and just chatting showbiz on the radio. And it's just so bizarre. I remember once being on the radio and it was coming up to 6 o'clock and I was crying, having a breakdown, and I still had to, hi, Darcy Kelly, come out at 6 o'clock, and then literally just have to breathe. And I had tears coming down my face and I still had to do it.
So it's never recorded video, is it? So
No.
you can always hide behind the fact that it's just audio.
And it wasn't like I was crying off air and then I had to like get myself together to do my final link. And I think it was a particularly bad day, and a lot of stress was going on within my family, with my mum and stuff. So I had to just power through, and it was so hard. And I remember not wanting to go back on air the next day, but I still did it. Yeah. It just shows how determined you can be if you put your mind to it.
I mean, even if I'm struggling at work, it's so easy just to not talk to anybody and sit in the corner. But it's complete. Yeah, you have to talk, and you have to come across, like in hospitality as well. You go to work and you do feel sorry sometimes when you do get a bad experience at a restaurant, and you just think in your head, maybe they are just having a really bad day.
Yeah, it is weird.
Can't just expect it to be happy all the time.
No,
you just never know what anyone else is going through, do you?
No way.
Room full of people, somebody's going to be going through something, whether it's a one-off event that's having an impact upon them, or whether it's a longer lasting issue.
Yeah. It is crazy what your mind can do when you have to just be put on the spot. And I remember as well, I was on air when the Duke of Edinburgh died, and I have to do that show, and I have never felt so much anxiety, because that's on you.
Yeah.
And you're the one, you know, doing that news. And I'd never been so scared, and I had great support, but I still was so like, oh my gosh, this is huge. I'm going to have to say this, and this. And I was just like shaking the whole way. And I was like, well, it's normal. It's a massive thing. But it's just crazy how you just do it.
Yeah.
And I don't listen back. Can't do that.
Do you know?
No.
I listened back to all of these episodes.
Can't do it.
I played them back a few times. I have to listen. I have to know exactly what. Because as soon as we finish, I'll forget what we've said. I
probably listen to an episode maybe 6 or 7 times, because I have to go through it and edit it. And then I do the video as well. So yeah, I've learned it off by heart by the
You're
end of the
quoting it word for word.
Yeah.
Not the same, yeah.
So we spoke before we started the podcast, and something that came up with my sister. My sisters were, mental health. They were thinking, could they come on? And for me, I didn't feel necessarily comfortable having my sister or anybody at that age. My sister's 15, my other one's 18. But I'm well aware that mental health happens there. And then I remembered your conversation, and yours started. So you're coming from a point of view now where it's happened in the past. So you were that age. So it's different for us. Mine was 18 when it all started. Yours was what, 20, late 20s?
Yeah, when I clocked it, late 20s, but still figuring out where it started.
So I felt it was good to get you on to get a different perspective. So Where did it all start?
When I think back, a lot of it is a complete blur, and I only remember like moments, like really key moments. But like 14, year 9, 14, was a horrific time. I was just confused and I was just lost, and I just was sucked in with being at school, pressures of trying to fit in, and I had no explanation of why I was feeling so depressed, so anxious. I just every day would go home and would just lie in bed and just cry and just want to harm myself. And I did that for a while. I also had purging bulimia, so I had an eating disorder until I was about 14, 15. So I would just like hide loads of food in my room and then eat it and then make myself throw up. Just because I hated myself and I hated my body and I hated the way I looked. And when I think I was 14, and I think that is so young to hate yourself that much. And it was just, there were days where it progressively got worse, and then school started to notice, and I was getting pulled out of lessons, and I was involved with boys, and it was consistently like a whirlwind. And it got to a point where I was like, I just can't do it. I was like, I cannot do it. And I remember I was sat in my room and I was just in a state where I was just like, I can't get out of this mindset, and I cannot get out of feeling so alone, but having everyone around me. And my mum was great. My mum is my hero, like, because she came in at a moment where I desperately, desperately needed her. And she came in, and I remember I was just in balls of tears, and she said, what do you want me to do? And I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I said, I can't do it, Mum. I said, I can't be on this earth anymore. And she took me to hospital. Then throughout the next couple of weeks, I was in and out of hospital, and I was just a mess. And it was, when I think back, so blurry. But then when I talk about it, I get shaky as well, because I just like remember all those feelings. But it was awful. It was seriously awful. And to this day, that's not the kind of stuff you can shake off. And it's not the kind of stuff you can just forget. It just stays with you. And those feelings stay with you. So that's why even to this day, I suffer with anxiety, because it's silly stuff. Like if I go out on a night out or go out to an event and I see people from my year or people from school, I think they're looking at me going, oh my God, that's Darcy. Do you remember what she was like in year 9? Who's going to be thinking that? But that's just in my head. Yeah. Do you remember what she was like at school? And you know, that I'm not that same person, but that's what I think about. And it's just so stupid, but it's also, it's weird.
Yeah. We all remember the one, because you're saying you remember being in your room. I remember when it first started. You remembered the moment it first started.
That meal,
So yeah, it does stay with you forever.
It does.
So you still have those, more anxiety now than...
My anxiety, I've not had depression for a very long time. Anxiety, it's pretty bad. I overthink everything. Everything. Simple things like started a new job, and I said to my mum, I don't think this week just gone, I don't think I can do the show on Monday. She went, are you joking? She went, think how many shows you've done. You did it at 103. And I went, I can't do it. She's like, well, what is going on? But it's literally, my head is just, I saw something on Instagram as well. It's like your anxiety is lying to you, and it's letting you, it's controlling what you're going to do. And I was freaking out. And Mum was like, take a step back and just breathe and remember what you've done. It's just crazy how much anxiety can affect you.
Yeah.
And how will that affect you on a day-to-day?
I mean, day-to-day, it varies. Like one day can be really good and I'll have loads of confidence. And the next day I'll be like, I'm awful at my job. I'm a shit friend. I'm awful at being girlfriend. My family hate me. It's really weird. And
is overthinking the main?
Yeah, huge overthinker.
And what does that give you? Like what symptoms, or what does it do?
I think it makes me. I sleep a lot. Like I sleep so much. So I get tired really easily, and just want to kind of that's my escape. Is like, okay, if I go to bed, I'm just gonna escape it. Whereas my boyfriend Josh is literally like, get out of the house, go for a walk, let's go do something to take your mind off it, rather than you just going to bed and sleeping to escape it all. I'm like, yeah, well, an easy escape, isn't it, going to bed?
Yeah. So you said you've left the depression. You've not had it for a while. What did you do to get rid of it? You said that you were at the lowest and you didn't want to be here. So what happened after that?
It was a couple of years of just kind of, my mum and my sister were my absolute rocks throughout it, because they are just incredible they know me inside out, and they took care of me. And my mum used to have this thing, which I think is great, where if I'm obsessed with Harry Styles, and if I've
seen that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with him. And basically, ever since I was younger as well, if I was having a bad day but didn't want to talk about it, my mum would just go, okay, just bring Harry Styles. There's a picture of Harry Styles. Just bring Harry Styles onto the dinner table, pop him there. You don't have to talk. And we'll just sit and chat. Not about how I was feeling, but she knew that I was feeling rubbish because Harry Styles was sat on the table, which is quite nice. Yeah. But it just took a while of therapy, counselling, and just being easy on myself. And it took ages, and as the months went by at school, you know, well, in school, kids, they forget things. So it was next thing was whoever was next and the limelight kind of thing. So it kind of forgot about at school, and I started making friends again, and then I started getting back into it. I did a lot of drama at school, and that really helped. And yeah, just spending time with my family and my sister and my mum was the key thing, because they really looked after me. Yeah, and it did take a while, but when I got to about 16, I was feeling a lot better. Yeah.
How long did you receive counselling and therapy for?
I went to various different places. So probably about a year, and I was put on medication as well. But I just didn't think the medication worked for me. So about a year or so, I went to counselling, and then progressively got better for just talking about it. But I can never really find a reason why I felt that way. But I just don't feel like sometimes you need a reason. Sometimes your brain's just not very well, and it just needs a little time out.
How did you find the therapy? Because we've spoken about our experiences, and they've been a little bit different in terms of how we accepted it at different times and how that worked. What were your experiences like?
When I was younger, I don't remember much of what I said and why what the reasons were, but I definitely remember, like, it was difficult because I felt like the mental health needs a lot more attention. I feel like it needs a lot more, but it was tough. Like it was I remember, like, felt like I was being judged in therapy. I felt like I was being, I don't know, but that was all in my head as well. I've been to counselling since being 22 as well, and I find it a lot better because I think you have to be open to counselling.
Yeah, we've spoken about that, haven't we?
Yeah,
I went initially a few years back, and I was ticking a box.
Yeah,
I was going because I knew I should. And then by going, I allowed myself to think that everything was all right, that's fine. Like, I'm better now. And I wasn't, because I wasn't engaging what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
It's hard though, isn't it? You know, opening up to somebody completely new to you, I presume.
I know, yeah. Yeah, they were. And I remember, like, it was always like, why are you feeling that way? And I literally was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. That's why I'm here.
And as you said, you don't always need a reason. It's just you've not looked after your head.
No, I was so confused, and I was just like, you tell me. But like now, I've definitely become a lot more open to it. I mean, I think it's just good to chat.
Yeah.
Regardless, if you are struggling with your mental health or you're not, it's always good to just go and chat about things. I've had counselling recently, just for bits and bobs, but I've never ever felt the way I did when I was 14. I've never felt like that before.
Were you ever, going back to that question you asked about why you feel that way, were you ever able to identify something that might have started it or that impacted upon it?
I think it was a lot of, there were some people in my life when I was younger that that definitely impacted my mental health in a nasty way and in a bad way. And I don't think I realized how much damage it was causing until I look back on it now. And I think, why did I let myself get treated like that? Why did that happen? And there was a lot of just whirlwinds of different people that were involved. And I think people were being horrible to me, but I don't think I realised it was so nasty until I'm an adult now and realise if I had a daughter, someone treated my daughter like that, I'd be fuming.
But are we talking like close people or?
Yeah.
So close people would.
Yeah, it was close people that I thought were going to be good for me, and they were not at all.
Being a kid's hard in that respect, though, isn't it? You know, you can't. It's very hard to separate yourself from a group of people. As an adult, if there was somebody I didn't get on with or was having an impact on me, fine, done.
Yeah, you don't have to.
If you go to school every day with these people, or if they're part of a big friendship group that you're part of, it's hard.
Yeah, it was very, very hard, and it's. I think now a lot of it is also trauma. So I go to therapy now because it's a lot of stuff events that happened to me that shouldn't have happened to anyone, and now that's why I'm like, I need therapy now to get over it, because I didn't realise when I was younger that was what was the reason why. So I was going to my counsellor, I don't know why I feel like this, but now I look back and I'm like, of course that's why you feel like that. Of course that's why you had self-esteem issues. Of course that was why, because people were being nasty to you.
Yeah. So cut them out.
Yeah.
Easier when, like we said, easier when you're an adult.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do now? So you dip into counselling when sort of needed.
Yeah.
What do you do day-to-day basis just to help yourself, just to make yourself feel better?
I think I'm very hard on myself in the way that if I'm having a bad day, it's a bad day, write it off. Whereas I live with my boyfriend now, which is only recent. And over the past 2 months, I think he has definitely helped me in a way that's like, go outside more, because that's what I just don't do that enough. I don't like go out for a walk if I'm feeling rubbish, or go in the sea. I mean, we live on an island that's stunning. I mean, they can do wonders for your mental health, just getting outside. But day to day, if I want to feel better, I mean, I just so sounds so stupid, but like have a cup of tea and just have a time out and literally just clear my head. I have some really good friends that I can rely on as well that are great at giving advice. And obviously my mum's fab and my sister are fab, but just going, Darcy, chill the fuck out.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
So are those the sort of things, if you could send your younger self a message to help, are those the sort of things you would say?
Yeah, I think I was definitely, I was so lost, and I never thought there was light at the end of the tunnel. I always thought it was always going to be pain and there was no escape, and it was just so horrible. So if I could ever, because I in my mind I see like 14-year-old Darcy is a completely different person to Al, but like almost like two different people. And I'm like, if I could say to her, it would get better, because I did not believe at all that it was ever going to get better.
It was the same experience for me.
Yeah.
You're so far in that hole that that's it.
Yeah.
It's only going to be like that for the rest of your life.
I didn't ever think I was going to get out. I was literally like stuck in this rut, and I thought everyone around me hated me, and I thought everyone around me didn't care. And I was hurting myself and I was harming myself. Like, why was that the option? And why was that why did I think that was the thing to do? It's just crazy how many you start, like, obviously I was very, very depressed, and then like the anxiety came on top, and then the eating disorder came, and then it was just like one after the other, just like piling on top of each other.
Well, why, this is a tough question potentially, why was hurting yourself the answer? Do you know that yet?
Yeah, I think it was an escape in a way. So I did used to self-harm. And it was an escape for me. Like, I'm hurting myself. And then I saw the harm and I was like, okay, I don't know what it was. But my mum came up with, my counselling came up with things to help me stop. So we used to draw like butterflies on my arm, and we'd name them like Fiona. Alex is my sister's name, and basically I wouldn't hurt them, because if I hurt the butterfly, I'd be hurting my mum and sister. So that was quite a nice way of stopping that. But it was just an escape, and I think it was like, because I hated myself so much, I was harming myself for it. And that's why the purging bulimia came into it as well, because I just was just like, my body's not right, I'm disgusting, I just need to hurt myself in a way that didn't make me feel good at all. It was 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we would probably bring up, because you're not the only one that has done that. It still happens. So when we're not experts, so it'll be good to speak to an expert and see what they say. Why is that the go-to for some people? I know that I think I've heard of a reason, but I'm not going to say it. I'll leave it to an expert.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird escape. I think in my mind, it was like I was doing it because I obviously didn't like myself, but also like that was like, okay, you've done it now, you deserve that kind of thing. However horrible that is. Yeah,
like it. Yeah, okay. It's tough, isn't it?
And
it's hardcore.
Like the words you used, no light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, that for me is one that sticks with, that I've kept, because I mean, I've got it tattooed on my ribs, because there was.
Yeah.
And for those younger people who would be going through that, there is a potential light at the end of the tunnel.
100%.
So speak up, speak to your mum, or speak to someone you're comfortable with, and just start talking. It's a great start. It is a great start.
And even though it's horrible, it is absolute torture having to talk to someone about how you feel, because even to this day, I worry that I am attention seeking, that I'm a drama queen, that I'm doing it for attention, because that's what I was told when I was younger. And and that's just what sticks with me. So even to this day, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to think I'm even doing this, I'm like, everyone's going to think I'm attention seeking, but I'm not.
And that's what we are doing this to stop that. This is not, I think back in the day when I was going through it was the same thing. I was a 18-year-old kid, and there's me saying I've got something wrong with my brain. You just don't feel like you're taken seriously, because it's just different back then. People didn't understand it at all. You were one of only few, but honestly, I don't think I actually was. I think I was the only person that spoke.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was plenty of other people that just didn't, and that's what doesn't help. I think when you're a minority, people start to think that you're. We had a coffee talk with our hospital. Went in, and there was a question about dropping the word mental, because it comes with that "are you crazy" sort of type. And no, you're not.
No,
we've got physical health, we've got mental health. So it's hopefully talking it out and just speaking openly will just stop this.
I know.
Because also, I certainly speaking for myself, attention is the last thing I want. The reason I didn't speak to people is because I didn't want anything to change. I didn't want to be looked at or treated in a different way. Attention is not the point. The point is that we encourage people to talk about it. We're going to help people to get better and address it and be able to understand it and move forward. We just need to chip away at that, don't we? I think students in particular, it's tough.
It is so tough being a student. It was so hard. And even when I was doing A-levels, I was just like, that's another time, that probably the other time when I was feeling so bad was like 18, 19. And I was like, started going out drinking and started like going out partying and stuff. And I just was like, no, I can't be arsed. And it was so much pressure on like going out and drinking. And I was just like, and drinking makes you even worse, because drinking makes your emotions come out.
Yeah.
So there's some points where I'd gone a night out and I'd be a mess.
The next day.
The next day. For me, it's
anxiety.
Anxiety's through the roof after a night out. I really struggle.
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the anxiety after during a hangover.
Absolute nightmare.
So like my anxiety is always driven by my physiological feelings, and after a night out, you've just got all of them. Your heart rate's raised. You got your hands are shaking. You've got the cold sweats. I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm due an anxiety attack any minute. But Luckily, it never comes.
Yeah, it's awful. It is awful.
But it's good that you said your school picked it up.
They did.
They did.
They were great, especially in secondary school. Consistently just checking up on me.
So was that 6 years ago? You say 22?
Yeah, 6 years ago. Yeah, 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
Crazy. Yeah.
And you're saying they do your school. You did a mental first aid to help try and see.
Yeah.
And it's so.
Well, that's the main point of that course, is to try and identify where things might not be the way they should be.
They were so good.
What did they do that was good, and what was maybe less good?
I think what they did, it's kind of the same thing though. What they did do was good. They would check on me, and they would come in and go, knock on the classroom door and be like, can grab Darcy for a chat? But it was often to the point where I was like, people were going, Darcy going out all the time. Like, what's happening to Darcy? But they were really good at that. And like, even if I needed a break or my anxiety, I felt like horrific, I could just go to one teacher in particular, and I used to knock on her door, and I used to just sit in her room, and she was like, just sit and have a chat. She said, just chill. And if I needed to get a friend, the teacher would go and get a friend, and the friend would come sit with me. But I hated that, because I was like, it's that attention thing again. I was like, oh my God, all attention's on me.
Yeah.
And people were so horrible about it. But it was that if that kind of stuff affects you, if someone calls you an attention seeker when you're younger, you immediately think when you're older, people are going to still think that about you. But it wasn't the case. But the school were great, and they helped me so much. And like, I was in a lot of plays at school, a lot of drama things, and that really helped. And I remember in year 9, I was one of the leads for the play. I remember it was Railway Children, and I was Bobby, which was the lead girl. She didn't go off stage once, I don't think. And I said to my drama teacher, I said, I can't do it. It was like a week before. I said, I cannot do it. I feel horrific. I feel depressed. I feel my mental health is awful. But you can. I went, I can't. I said, I really can't. And I think she was borderline going to stop it. And then the week she went, just do next week, do the runs and see how you feel. So I did it, and I did the shows, and I felt 10 times better. And on the last show, I remember she stood there, she went, it's been really difficult for one student in particular doing these shows. And it was just so, that one thing that she said just really made an impact. And that like, well done for your bravery kind of thing was really stuck with me, because that made me feel so good in a time where I felt so bad. But it was drama really helped as well. It always had at school. Yeah.
Is that, I'm making assumptions here, is that the mask?
Yeah.
You're performing, you're someone different, you're something else.
It's similar to what I do now.
Yeah.
So similar to what I do now.
But you still carry on the same anxieties, because you just said that you're worried about your first show. I know. But then you'll get through it, and then you'll feel amazing.
Yeah, when you piece those two together, exactly.
Because the anxiety is what? Fight and flight.
Yeah.
And flight is, it's there for a reason, because, probably back in the day, we'd need to either fight something or run away from something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always found that the fighting, just because when I would have an anxiety attack or something, you'd get all of those feelings. And if I ever ran, it never got better. I'd always be faced with it again. And if I fought and then got through it, I was like, that wasn't actually too bad.
Have work been? Work knows you're recording this with us?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah, fine. I mean, they're great. And the support is wonderful there. Really, really good. And they have they check up on you, and they're great for like mental health. I mean, the company in general is great with that. I'm just a bit like, I find it weird, like in a time where people are more often or not off work for like sickness, for just like physical sickness, like being sick or having a cold or whatever. There's like, you can just be off for your mental health as well, which is just amazing. Like if you're having a bad day, you can just...
Is that encouraged? Has that been sort of discussed amongst
I think if you've got you're having a really bad, I mean, within reason, I mean, I think if you're having a really bad anxiety day and you're having panic attacks and, you're just all over the place, they really are supportive with that, which is great.
That's
quite refreshing, actually.
Come so much further than 10 years ago.
Mental.
So we got a good question from one of our Twitter followers that asked, from a parent's point of view, you know, they're a parent of young girls or children. How best could you, like, what could you say to help them potentially look out for their children or help their children?
I mean, I'm no parent, but from a point of view from a girl that needed a lot of help, I think my mum was great at just picking up on when I was not myself. Obviously, I was not myself for months, but she picked up on the times where she needed to come into my room and check on me, or needed to like get me down for dinner. I think that's the key thing, is like, she always used to make sure, it's a little thing, but she always used to make sure that I came out for my tea and like I sat at the dinner table or sat on the sofa and had tea with her. And just being aware of, like, I didn't want to talk about it and I didn't want to be forced to talk about it. So the Harry Styles thing was such a great way of saying, Mum, I feel shit. I don't want to talk about it, but can we just sit on the sofa and watch a film? I'd also say, like, as hard as it might be for a parent, maybe watch something that the kid or the teenager would want to watch. So then they'd be more encouraged to go out, or like play a game they want to play, or make an occasion of something. Because I always just felt like I was locking myself in the room because no one wanted to have me around. Whereas my mum did. And she was just like, I'd rather you sit out with me, and I'd rather watch something that you want to watch, or play something that you want to play, or something like that, just so you're out here and not in your room feeling horrible. I also think don't smother them with, are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you want me to go anywhere for you? Because I hated that. And my mum was never like that, but I didn't want my mum to be like, are you okay? Like fretting over me.
Yes, I wouldn't have found as a kid. I think anything, if my mum asked me if I was okay, I mean, every now and then was fine, but like if she really knew I wasn't, but kept poking, I think it would have just annoyed me and made me worse.
It would bring a whole different emotion in.
Yeah.
I think there's a massive skill in just being quiet with someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really hard thing to do, but sometimes it's just what you need to do.
I think even if my mum had come to me, I've never had a problem with talking openly to my mum, but if I was, I think I would probably prefer her to just come to me and say that I am open to talk to you whenever. And she did at a very early age. So I knew that I could be open with her whenever I needed to. I think I'd prefer that, and I'll come to you when I need you. And I did.
Patience as well. I think my mum and my sister and my stepdad were very patient with me, and very patient, and didn't force me to feel any sort of way. But then they were really, my sister more than anyone was a big advocate of tough love. And I think that sometimes threw me. But when I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, thank God she said that, because I might have just been, my mum was very upset. Obviously, it's very hard for a mum when they see their daughter. I sometimes feel guilty for that, because I was overthinking again. I'm like, oh my God, I put my mum through that. But my sister was very much like, you need to stop feeling like this. Come on, let's do this, let's do that. And she was she's a teacher. So she's very much like, let's just sort it out. And I was like, okay. And it did help. But she was also at uni at the same time, so she wasn't always in my face. But my mum was definitely a lot more patient with me, and she'd come to the appointments with me, and she'd come and sit with me, and then she'd give me space if I needed it. And the Harry Styles thing was just wonderful, because I didn't have to say anything. I was just like, there he is, sat on the kitchen, like on the dining table, and I just didn't have to say a word. And it was just so nice just to be able to just chill out. And she just, she'd always just check up but never smother. And she was always just really, okay, yeah, you can feel like that, but tell me why are you feeling like. She was just question why, so that she could kind of get to the bottom of it, because it must have been really hard for her. But I think patience is a really, really big thing. I think, you can't fix someone. You can't fix anyone, but you have to kind of just be there for them. And as you said, silence is just so nice to sit in silence.
I think from a parent, I think I would find it very, as you said, I'd find it very difficult to to know, and you would want to, but the patience part I just find really hard.
Yeah. My sister.
But then also someone who has suffered, I would also be from two sides. I'd be like, would I want my dad to come and ask me the questions? And we spoke again in the previous episodes in the coffee talk that I would like it to be similar to my mum, where I knew I could speak openly to my mum whenever I needed to. So if I could say to my son, even now, I'd always be open and make sure that he knows forever if he does struggle, he can come to me. You know, I'm not going to push, but it'll be difficult.
Yes, people want to fix things, don't they?
Yeah.
When you care about someone, you want to fix it.
Your own
but you
son.
can't. It's really, you can never fix anyone. And like my mum has always told me that you can't fix anyone. And she used to just be really, really just comforting in a way that now me and my mum have the most wonderful relationship, because she just was so like, she was there for me every step of the way. And me and my mum have a really open relationship now with my sister as well. We're like a little triangle. My stepdad sometimes just can't get in because he's just like three women that are quite loud.
I think you mentioned this during the filming.
Yeah, three women that are quite loud, and then we've got my boyfriend and then my stepdad as well. They're just like when the three of us together, it's chaos. But they were great in the way that they just everything. If I told my mum something and then I spoke to my sister would already know. And I'm like, how did you find out that? She's like, oh, mum told me. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But it was lovely to have that support network, definitely. But yeah, me and my mum and my sister have a really wonderful relationship now because we're so open with each other about stuff. And I know that I could go to my mum for anything now because she was so approachable when I was younger.
Yeah. Definitely makes a relationship.
I've sent voice messages to her going, oh my God, I'm stressing out about XYZ. And she's like, again. I'm like, yeah, sorry. Yeah. So it's a lovely relationship.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's great to have.
Yeah.
And that's just from being open and.
Yeah. Open and honest, and just patience as well is the key thing. Definitely.
So we had another question from our boy Trussie, who makes a feature in every single episode. And he had asked, this is not a mental health one, but he had asked if anyone dead or alive you could interview, who would you pick? Just to put you on the spot.
I'm not going to say Harry Styles, because Harry Styles is way too predictable, but it would be Harry, but I'm not going to say that.
Thoughts on the new album?
I love it.
Well, it's smashing it, isn't it?
I'm seeing him live in less than a month. I'm going to Wembley to see it.
Isn't he 1 and 2?
Yeah.
And then one album?
Yeah, I think he's pretty high up.
Yeah.
Pretty high up.
Fair play to him.
But if I had to pick, I probably would go with... I would like to interview... I'm not much of an interviewer yet. I'm still getting good at it. I'm trying to, get better at it. But I'd love to interview Louis Theroux because he interviews everyone else.
Oh, right, okay.
So I just like...
Is he the one with the mad rap song that's going on?
Yes.
I've forgotten the lyrics already, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah, he's the one. I'd love to, because he just interviews everyone else. So it'd be quite nice to just like ask him a few questions, but he'd probably know how to answer it, wouldn't he? Really well.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting though, wouldn't it?
He seems very good at that.
Definitely.
So is there anything else that you can think?
I can't really think of anything else.
I think my sisters were interested in this episode because it was obviously from that age.
Yeah.
And everybody's struggling.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
So hearing you talking about it and being here, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So
I if it was not for my mum coming into my room that night, I don't think I'd be here. I really don't think I would. I think I firmly believe in everything happens for a reason. And that night was weird because I didn't go out of my room, and I think she knew something was up. And normally I'm in and out, I was getting food and stuff and just like in and out. But that night I was locked in my room on my phone, and she came in, and she came in at a point which was very like, it was, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but she came in at a point where she needed to come in, because if she didn't come in, I don't think it would be, I think it would be a completely different story.
Yeah.
And I think she's coming for a reason. I think it was everything happens for a reason. And I think if she didn't, I don't think I'd be here, because I think I'd still be stuck in that rut if I didn't go to hospital and get help. So that light at the end of the tunnel, I think in my case would be my mum, because she was the one that was just like always there in the house and helping me.
Just takes one person at the right time, doesn't it?
Yeah, at the completely right time. Just to she kind of saved me in that respect. That's why I called her my hero earlier. But yeah, she really did. She did save me. And that kind of stuff affects you to this day.
That was a very powerful ending, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
No, it's okay,
that was really good.
Nice.
And it takes me back to the filming last time, and it's amazing to hear and be so open. So thank you very much, Darcy. Thank you, Egg. Thank you to Sangria for sponsoring the episode.
Yeah, well remembered.
Definitely the best chorizo vino on the island.
Yeah, so, I'm going to have to go in and get some of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, next time we really should have the table full of tapas. But thank you very much. And we'll speak to everybody in the next episode.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Darcy.